Hello and welcome to another episode of the Book Binge, where this week we do my Christmas/December 2023 book haul, the final haul of 2023. This video comes out in 2024, but it's for things from last year. You understand what I mean. I got a sizable gift collection over Christmas time. I did get a few things for myself, but for the most part, this haul is gifts from other people. So thank you to the friends who gifted me stuff. Speaking of, let's go ahead and just jump right into this with the gifts that I did receive over December. Again, all of these basically for Christmas. The first thing I want to shout out is the rest of the Border Trilogy by Cormac McCarthy. So Book 2, The Crossing, and Book 3, Cities of the Plain, gifted to me from Patrick, who single-handedly allowed me to join for the Border Trilogy read-along happening January, February, and March, amongst a couple Discord servers that I'm in. He was also the one that gifted me all the pretty horses back for my birthday in October, so that's why I say he single-handedly allowed me to join for the read-along. I was actually planning to get these books for myself if it was not already done before then, because I already owned all the pretty horses and I decided to join for that, and if I liked it enough I would join for the rest of the trilogy. So long story short, I was going to buy these, but thank you to Patrick for getting them for me. Anyway, we'll see how these two go over the next couple of months. I enjoyed all the pretty horses enough. I have high hopes, relatively speaking, for The Crossing though, so again, we'll see how the rest of the trilogy goes. Gift number 2, also from Patrick, I figured I'd group these together, is 2666 by Roberto Bolaño. I apologize for my accent. It's only gotten worse over the years since I was taking Spanish classes. Yet another Infinite Jest kind of situation with this one, though, I will say, even though this is Latin American and Infinite Jest is absolutely not one of those. This is a favorite of a few of my friends, just like Infinite Jest was, and has a concept and set of ideas that really intrigue me. I doubt I'll make this as much of a priority as I've made Infinite Jest, but I do really want to get this one someday. And again, kind of similar situation as Infinite Jest. It was like after it turned out that a lot of people were really enjoying it. In a read-along they did a little bit earlier this year, I'm like, okay, I want to read that now. But like I said, I probably won't make it as much of a priority, where Infinite Jest was like, okay, I'm reading that as soon as possible and scheduled it for basically the next year. That one I'm not scheduling for any time soon, and I don't have on any form of list for anything to get to as a priority anyway. Next up is The Two Foxes by Nicole Pierman. This one is from my Secret Santa, who happened to be Omar. This is a friend of mine. I did do a discussion with Nicole on the channel a couple months back, and in that video she described The Two Foxes as being a passion project to me. Concept of it does intrigue me a decent bit, though I would like to do Danu's Curse first. If I read any of her books this year, I will do Danu's Curse first. If you want to know more about why this is a passion project and why I pointed that out for Nicole, like I said, I have that discussion video, so you can definitely check out that video if you want to know a little bit more about this book specifically. Next up was a gift from Miss Tokyo. Thank you very much, Tokyo, for Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick. This is kind of like a children's book for all intents and purposes, because its target audience isn't adults per se, and a lot of it is made up of images. It's practically all artwork. You know, probably 95% of the book is art rather than writing. And I've read this book before, back in, was it 6th grade? Was it 8th grade? I don't know. Somewhere in that late middle school to junior high school period, I read both Wonderstruck and The Invention of Hugo Cabret by the same author, and really enjoyed both of them, old childhood favorites. I do want to experience them at some point, though, and want to see if they hold up for what they are. And they'd also do a little bit well to inflate my Goodreads reading goal, as well as my TBR, generally speaking, and would also make it a little bit easier to, you know, have books on the backlog to be reviewed on the channel, because sometimes I get a little bit close to not having anything to cover because I read sometimes a bit slower than my schedule would demand. But yeah, thank you for this gift, Tokyo. I'll be sure to keep it in good condition because it's frankly just a beautiful copy. The quality of these hardcovers is immense. Next up is a two-part gift from Reen. Thank you for the collected fictions of William Hope Hodgson, volumes 1 and 2. So these are The Boats of the Glen Carrig and Other Nautical Adventures, and The House on the Borderland and Other Mysterious Places. I believe Reen said that The House on the Borderland is his favorite of Hodgson's work that he's read so far, and Hodgson is an author that he enjoys. And since Hodgson does have several short stories, and many of them are included in these 2 volumes, and through the rest of the 5 volumes as well, I figured that Hodgson would make a decent enough inclusion for my new Short Story Sunday series on the channel. Comes out on the Sundays opposite Fortnight on the Isle. Don't know when I'll actually start getting to these stories, especially since some of them are a little bit longer than others. Like these title stories are actually more like full-length novels or novellas of sorts. Not sure how I'll tackle these for sure, but I would like to get to Hodgson sooner rather than later, potentially even as early as February. Thank you, Reen, for this gift. Finally, a gift that wasn't from a friend, but a gift from my mother for Christmas is Dave Ramsey's Baby Steps Millionaire's book. My mother got myself and also several of my other brothers certain money/finance related books for each of us, depending on various factors, including what she cited as our personalities, our need, and then some other stuff. Not entirely sure what that says about me in this particular instance, but I know of Dave, I respect Dave, and although I haven't read any of his material or haven't watched or listened to too much of his actual shows or podcasts or anything like that, just his appearances on some other podcasts that I already follow, I do know his general shtick, but like I said, I haven't read a book yet, so we'll see how this goes, as this will be my first. But now that we've covered those items, let's move on to the physical purchases that I made for myself. The first one of these is a rather chunky book, Michael McDowell's Blackwater. I nearly said Mitchell McDowell's because that name was a little bit hard to read for a split second. This is a favorite book of a friend of mine, Baba's. It sounds fun and interesting, but there's not really a whole lot for me to say about this thing up to this point, quite frankly. I know very little about it, other than basically what the general concept is. So I have no on-the-table plans for this book to read yet, but it is one that I do want to get to for a spooky season, you know, Halloween type of read at some point, just because I can. And I don't know, man, the texture of this cover is fantastic. I love that sort of matte finish that these covers can have, and this one definitely has that vibe. Next up is the only other physical book I purchased, that being Leo Tolstoy's Resurrection, his 3rd novel. I believe that these 3 novels, War and Peace, Anna Karenina, and Resurrection, were the only true novel-length writings that Leo Tolstoy did. He did plenty of short stories and essays and other philosophical writings and stuff like that, but I didn't even know that this novel existed. For the longest time, I thought War and Peace and Anna Karenina were the only 2 full-length ones that he did. But once I figured out this existed, I decided to pick it up. It is arguably one of my most anticipated classics, just generally speaking, for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why, beyond just the concept sounding like exactly my kind of thing. So as long as the philosophical side of this is handled well, which isn't always Tolstoy's strongest suit, as, you know, Epilogue 2 of War and Peace goes to show, and some criticisms that some people have of Anna Karenina, and even some moments that I've had of, you know, critique with Anna Karenina so far as I'm currently reading that. Like I said, the philosophical side of things isn't always Tolstoy's strongest suit, but as long as all of that is handled well, this has the potential to be my favorite of his 3 novels and one of my favorite classics of all time. Not sure when I'm going to read this, maybe this year, maybe not until next year, but I would like to get to this sooner than later. Of course, I have to finish Anna Karenina first, but I'm definitely very excited to read this one at some point. But even though I have just now talked about all those as if they are my only physical books that I picked up, because they are not the final books that I picked up. Let's go ahead and talk about the 3 ebooks I picked up, being The Last War by Mike Shackle. So those being We Are the Dead, A Fool's Hope, and Until the Last. I picked these up because they were on sale for pretty cheap at some point in the middle of December, and I had some ebook credits that I needed to spend, so I just kind of picked them up because why not? No real particular reason why I did that, but the other thing that I did pick up in December, but really was just given to me, was, what is this called? Long Chills and Case Dough by Brandon Sanderson, a sort of like novella type of story that just was shadow dropped in the middle of December following the Secret Projects Kickstarter thing. So because I followed all of that, I got that dropped to me at some point. So I'm like, okay, I'll take it. I have no idea when or if I'll read it, but I did pick that up nonetheless because it was given out for free. I think I remember right that it was actually unpublished prior to this shadow drop, so that's actually pretty cool as well. But otherwise, the final thing that I will talk about in this video is a technical audio pickup, nothing too crazy special. I decided to pick up Cormac McCarthy's audio library, so everything besides The Passenger and Stella Maris, is that what it's called? The Passenger duology is the only audiobooks of McCarthy's on Audible that I did not pick up because the rest of them happen to be on the Audible Plus catalog, and because I have been working through a little bit of McCarthy, unexpectedly I picked up No Country for Old Men last month. I decided that because I actually really liked that book, doing it immersively, I would do the Border trilogy this year doing it. So because all of the books are on there, I decided to just pick them all up for ease, and maybe I'll make McCarthy one of my standalone authors that I get through in 2024. If you want to hear more about some of my general 2024 reading plans, man, will that be next Tuesday? That will be next Tuesday. I'll be dropping a video on that, so just a week for that to happen. So not a humongous haul this time around, thank goodness, but it was sizable enough. Thank you all for watching. I'll be back with more videos, 3 every week, basically, just as always on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, with Book Binge videos being on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then an assortment between Fortnights on the Isles and Short Story Sundays alternating on Sundays. I will not have another book haul for you next month. I will have another book haul for you in April, covering the first quarter of 2024. I'll see you guys then, and in all the other videos you might be willing to check out. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be back in the next one.